going on to chapter 3 then. How not to die from brain diseases. One of the first things that came up was the stroke, and on page 49 it mentions in about 90% of strokes, the blood flow to the part of the brain gets cut off, depriving it of oxygen and killing off the part fed by the clogged artery. That's called an ischemic stroke, from the Latin ischemia, meaning stopping blood. A small minority of strokes are hemorrhagic.
Hemorrhaged
strokes, which are caused by bleeding into the brain when a blood vessel bursts. Sometimes the blood clots. Sometimes the blood clot lasts only a moment, not long enough to notice, but still enough to kill off any tiny portion of your brain. These so-called silent strokes can multiply and slowly reduce cognitive function until full-blown dementia develops. Now it goes on to mention fibre. A number of studies now show that high fibre intake may also help ward off stroke. Fibre is naturally concentrated in one place. Anyone want to guess where?
What do you mean? In your body? In your body?
No.
What do you mean?
Like, where would you get fibre from?
From oats, nuts.
Yeah. From whole plant foods is where we're going. If you really want to be proactive, the best available science suggests you can minimise stroke risk by eating a minimum of 25 grams a day of soluble fibre. Fibre that dissolves in water, typically found in beans, oats, nuts and berries. And 47 daily grams of insoluble fibre that does not dissolve in water, found primarily in whole grains such as brown rice and whole wheat. Another thing to have is potassium. Take a plant, I don't know if you knew this, but if you take a plant, any plant, and burn it to ash, throw ghost ash, I don't know what that is, in a pot of water, boil it, skim off the ashes, and eventually you'll be left with a white residue known as potash. Potash has been used for millennia for making everything from soap and glass to fertilizer and bleach. It wasn't until 1807 that an English chemist figured out that this vegetable alkali contained an undiscovered element which he called potassium, so potassium. A review of all the best studies on the relationship between potassium and our top two killers, heart disease and stroke, determined that 1,640 milligrams increases per day of potassium intake was associated with a 21% reduction in stroke risk.
I got a stat for you. I've got a question, guys.
Go on.
So, how much? But no, that's not fair to ask that question. Do you believe bananas to contain a high amount of potassium?
Apparently, it doesn't.
They come in at 1,611.
Computer says.
You could have let the suspense ring.
No, because that was literally the next thing I was going to mention.
Yeah, it's mad. So, sorry to cut you off.
No, go on.
I might just need a sip of water anyway. But in this book on page 52, and this shocked me actually. What about you guys? Did it shock you, or did you?
Absolutely.
So I always was told, bananas potassium. It's good for potassium.
Yeah, exactly.
So guys, the US Department of Agriculture, on their database, bananas don't even make the list of the top 1,000 foods with the highest levels of potassium. They come underneath Reese's Pieces.
That is bonkers. I thought that was crazy. I ain't even know Reese's Pieces though. I'm letting you know that now.
Which surprised me a lot. You're right, they come in at like 1,600 and something, which is ridiculous.
1,611 to be precise.
Crazy.
But potassium-rich foods, I say. The healthiest common whole food sources are probably greens, beans and sweet potatoes, which I love. I smash the shit out of sweet potatoes, pardon my French. It then goes on to mention something that we were talking about earlier in terms of antioxidants. An antioxidant-rich diet appears to protect against strokes by preventing the circulation of oxidized fats in the bloodstream that can damage the sensitive walls of small blood vessels in the brain. Moving on, in terms of another brain disease, is Alzheimer's disease.
So do you mind if I just cut back in regards to... Actually, no, that's a lie, actually.
Okay.
Sorry. Just wait. That was in Alzheimer's, but I mean, I mean, I'll probably allow you to probably touch on maybe one or two of those artifacts. But I mean, I didn't realise
Thanks for allowing me to do that.
You're welcome. Citrus fruits obviously help with obviously blood circulation, which obviously is very, very important. And what else is there? I think obviously I know your brain obviously comprises of 2% of your body, but 50% of the oxygen that we breathe actually goes to the brain, which is very important. I don't think that's something that people generally take on board. Obviously when they're eating their hamburgers and they're eating their fries and stuff like that, stuff with loads of cholesterol that's going to go into your veins and block potentially all the oxygen that's going to go to your brain, you know what I'm saying? So I just thought I'd just throw that in there anyway.
Yeah, no, that's valuable information. On page 59 it mentions, despite the billions of dollars spent on research, there is still neither a cure nor effective treatment for the disease, which invariably progresses to death. Now, autopsies have revealed that Alzheimer's brains have significantly more cholesterol build-up than normal brains. Is it genetics or diet? And again, that's not me asking, that's in the book. In the United States, those who don't eat meat, including poultry and fish, appear to cut their risk of developing dementia in half. And the longer meat is avoided, the lower dementia risk may fall. Interestingly enough, everyone has some form of APOE, but 1 in 7 people have a copy of the E4 gene that is linked to the disease. It's been shown you inherit one APOE APOE4 gene from your mother or dad. Your risk of getting A may triple from both 1 in 50 to 9 times the risk. We love that.
It's just sounding like a maths quiz.
Yeah, I know. It's better,
So basically, if your parents have this particular gene that's linked to Alzheimer's, if you get it from one of them, so you have a risk of getting it from at least one of them. If you get it from both of them, your risk of contracting Alzheimer's goes up by about 9 times or something.
Yeah.
Was that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Cool, we're there.
The Nigerian paradox, have you heard of that?
Yeah, I did read about that actually.
The highest frequency of the APOE4 variant occurs in Nigerians, who surprisingly also have some of the lowest rates of Alzheimer's. This contradiction may be explained by Nigerians' extremely low blood cholesterol levels, thanks to a diet low in animal fat and consistently mainly of grains and vegetables.
Right.
By the way, when I read that, you don't know Nigerians.
Yes. A couple of things. So, in layman's terms, basically, they're saying that the Nigerian population have the highest rate of the Alzheimer's gene, have the highest rate of Alzheimer's gene, yet they contract Alzheimer's the least due to their diet. Listen, I've got a lot of West African friends here. Some Ghanaian, some Nigerian. And one thing I know, when you go to the house, that pot of stew is boiling, okay? And it's real oily, it's real greasy, it's real meaty. Don't tell me it's grains.
Exactly.
It's grains and sauce. Don't tell me sauce. Don't tell me it's grains and sauce in that pot of stew. Don't tell me that, alright? So
when I saw that, I said, "You don't know Nigerians."
I'm not co-signing that. Apologies. I'm not co-signing. Call me ignorant. Yeah, call me ignorant because I ain't done my own research. I'm not co-signing that. Moving on.
Moving on sharply to chapter 4. How not to die from digestive cancers. Is there anything else before we move on? If you want to mention it.
Sorry, my phone's just playing up, so let me just have a quick. No, I didn't write too much on. No, I didn't write too much. No, I found some of the stuff you've covered already.
Alright. So this is on page 71. Only a small percentage of all human cancers are attributable.
Attributed.
No, it's not even that. Attributable. I can't get that. I'm gonna keep smiling, laughing now.
We'll go attributed.
Yeah, just roll it from there.
To purely genetic factors. The rest involve external factors, it's particularly in our diet. So, should there be someone or someones to take responsibility for the cancerous effects in our food and drink?
Should
You someone.
Alright, so
I mean, like you have like the Attorney General or the medical
Health Minister.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Alright. Okay. So you said something about choice earlier, P. Yeah, I can't remember what it was related to food, but I can't remember what it was related to exactly. But it's about, okay, here's your, and I come back to the book about what you mentioned at the beginning, French. Here's your choice. Look, we'll tell you, or you can go and do your own research, and there's enough platforms out there to do your research. This food tastes good, but you eat that for 10 years, yes, it will give you some health side effects. Same thing with fizzy drinks and the rest. Is that what you just touched on, fizzy drinks?
Yeah.
Same thing with fizzy drinks. It's full of this, it's full of that, and it will taste good, but you do it for 10, 15 years, that's your choice, yeah? So when you're a child, when you're under the age 18, or under the age 16, or under age where you can reasonably look after yourself and control what you eat, what you drink, what comes into the household, I think your parents have an obligation to make sure they understand what the side effects are or the long-term effects are of these kind of things. So I know you're talking about on a wider scale, but even bringing it into a smaller scale, even within the family home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? We have a responsibility to know what we're giving to children or whatever. When they get to a certain age, they can make that decision. They have to do their research. Because at the end of the day, yes, your health minister, whoever it is, and even in schools now, when we went to school and how it's changed now, apparently it's a lot more healthier from when we were at school. Do you know what I'm saying? But yes, there's an obligation, a wide obligation, but there's also for me, there's a small obligation as well, because there is choice, there is options, and we need to know what the side effects or the long-term adverse effects are to fizzy drinks and all the rest of it. Yeah, that's my points.
I think you've touched on I think you've touched on it quite well, if I'm honest. So I haven't got too much to add to it, really.
What do you think, Chris?
No, I mean, same as P. Not to sound like a parrot, but you pretty much covered it in my opinion, anyway. It's
almost like almost like a funny way of looking at it is. Whether it's the health minister or I don't want to say the government because I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's like, this is what we're running with, alright? And this is where it's going, and there are options, but you're going to have to go look for them.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And that's where
there's too much money involved. There's too much money involved.
This is what we're running with. Bro, go do your own research.
Alright, this is slightly separate to what we're talking about. You're putting health warnings on cigarette pack. You don't want people to smoke. You don't let cigarettes in. But you're putting health. Look what your lungs. What happens to your lungs?
Can you imagine? The people were probably lobbying against putting those type of health warnings on cigarettes. That's madness, mate.
If you're really concerned about certain things like lung cancer from smoking and all the rest of it, you ain't gonna put some silly picture up on the box. You're gonna say.
Yeah, but the people that own those companies are putting too much money into government.
Alright, you hit the nail on the head.
Same
with these fizzy drinks. Same with these fizzy drinks and that.
Yeah, now we mentioned it earlier. That's it. And in each case, when it comes to lung cancer, heart cancer, and the rest, or lung disease, heart disease, it boils down to money. Like if you follow the money, you'll follow where the cause is, so to speak.
It's incredible because, like, just touching on that point, I was obviously reading the book, and it's an obvious, really. A lot of these snack companies also have drinks companies as well. So
yeah, I mentioned that.
Yeah, so no surprise, obviously, if you're getting a packet of peanuts, which are heavily dosed with salt, we're going to want to wash that down with some Coca-Cola. So, I mean, it's no surprise, you know what I'm saying? So they all go hand in hand, really. So, as you mentioned before, it all boils down to really responsibility and doing your own research. But it probably takes many, many years of... it takes you to mature as a person, really, until to get older before you can actually find out you can have healthier options.
Yeah. Moving on to colorectal cancer. The average person has about 1 in 20 chance of developing colorectal cancer over the course of their lifetime. Would you change the way you live and eat if you're aware of all the chances, percentage-wise, of you contracting all diseases or illnesses?
I'm gonna be blunt and be honest and say no. Cause the reason I say
YOLO Mason.
The reason I say it, because you man know what I'm like with certain other things as well, and I know. Yeah, exactly. So
we know.
Because you're giving me these facts now, and I'm like, that's it. Yeah, maybe I should. Look. am I gonna make a conscious effort? Yes and no. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I've got to be.
I'll be honest, bro.
I mean, I don't smoke anyway. I don't drink excessively, so I see it as like, obviously, if I stop drinking completely, then long term it's gonna help out my liver. It's gonna help out my kind of health.
Yeah.
But the way I see it, it's the same with like red meat. The way I see it is, and I think even off air we mentioned this, just about life in general. You've got to try and enjoy life and do what kind of makes you happy at the end of the day. And you could live like a the ultimate green god in terms of veggies and stuff, and you might not like any of it. And it's like, okay, you live for 60 years. And you haven't enjoyed any meal for the last 60 years. Do you know what I'm saying?
See, the thing is, you know what? As I mentioned before, there are options available, good options available. We just don't know how to actually access those
recipes,
those recipes and those options. All right. So I mean, this is where my mindset kind of changed in regards to diet and stuff like that. So there was probably small little clips in regards to milk and pus and all that type of stuff. And it was like, Andrew don't drink pus.
Yeah.
All right, we ain't doing that. Not in 2015 or over a year it was. So we ain't doing that. Yeah. And then there was one time I was working in a school, and just the guy was talking. He was talking about sausages in terms of how sausages were made. On my life, I never ate another sausage again. He went, and the thing is, he had made some sound effects. He goes, I used to work on a farm. He was talking to students. I used to work on a farm, and he's talking about how they used to make sausage. And he went like this: we put the pork where it is, and he go, put it in the and I said, and he kind of like did like little hand gestures as to like how they, and I'm thinking. So I walked out and I said, wait, so I actually asked him, so how the sausage is made? And I said, never again. Never again am I eating another sausage. Right. And then I became a bit more conscious of other bits and bobs.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know, I need to retract my statement. And the reason I say that is because now that I think about it, because I have made conscious decisions to stop eating, because things like pork, do you ever remember
Haven't you told me?
Remember? You was there with me, wasn't you?
Yeah, but I remember we spoke about this a couple times.
Right, pork belly road. So I don't eat pork and there's a reason. So there's certain things I haven't made conscious to cut out.
Yeah.
So the reason the pork belly road, and this is nothing to do with these. With any study, 60% have died from it. It was nothing to do with that. Me and Mark, before I stopped eating pork, I was walking down pork belly. Was you there? I think
I was there. Yeah.
It was that pork belly road. They had this pig on the rotisserie thing, like you know that meat is a sunny day pork belly road. Yeah. Had it turning like people come and say, I love a pork baguette or whatever. And then they slice off the meat and put it in the baguette. That'll be £6, you know, the teeth down there, So anyway, we walk close up. I goes, Pop, go and have a look at that. This is what I goes, that's why they do pork. As we went close, it's saw the maggots wriggling in the maggot was cooking, wriggling in the pig. I said, you go and have your nice pork baguette. I said, that's what I did. You want pork chop? You go and have your 90% pork, 10% maggot chop, boy.
Nasty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a maggot.
But also,
and even the dairy thing, the milk thing. Yeah. You actually got me into the almond milk thing and that. And I drink hemp milk and almond milk. I don't drink that dairy thing no more. I was never lucky. I've never been big on dairy products. Eggs, I'm not really into. Milk. Butter, cheese, all them kind of things. I've never been big on this. It's quite fortunate. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. But then the whole milk thing, I don't really drink milk anyway. Maybe old cereal, but almond milk, I can't taste the difference.
I need to jump on the almond milk store.
What are you drinking?
I drink dairy milk.
What?
I can't taste the difference, friend.
I'm surprised.
The unsweetened almond. Today I had hemp milk and some muesli. I had actually. Yeah. I had hemp milk. You can't. To me,
I'm gonna start. Someone was telling me to go get oats milk.
Yeah, you can get that as well. Yeah.
So, another reason why I kind of cut out those stuff, like, this is actually an obvious. You're 14, 15, 16 years of age, you're fit as a fiddle, you're nice and fit, you're looking trim. You can find out what you're going to look like in 30, 40 years' time. Just go look at him, like the man across the road. I ain't, without being disrespectful, I'm not trying to look like him. With a pot belly and with a duck waddle walk.
Yeah, wobbling.
Nah. So, if I can cut things out, or prevent all of that, then obviously that's what I'm into, or that's what I would like to do. Struggling at this moment in time when it comes to stuff like M&Ms and fruit salads and the popcorn, but
I don't know what you brought to the studio today. I bought oranges, apples, and bananas.
Fuck out of here. I bought a mixture of both. I'm not gonna front. I bought popcorn and I bought fruit and I bought sweets and I bought
He
nuts
brought it
and
all.
raisins,
How to die. Alright, what we going
and enjoy yourself at the same time.
What's your thoughts on your own question? What's your perspective in terms of
Would I change?
if you knew about all the different kind of percentages of and what's likely to happen if you carry eat a certain thing, would you change your dietary
Yeah, I probably would change parts of my diet. Would I change it all? No.
flexitarian style?
I'll definitely be on
Yeah.
easy. I'll definitely be on the flexitarian thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you're saying would be? I mean, but we're in here and now. Just
What?
you said if. So the question was, if you knew this before.
Yeah, if I knew all the chances of every percentage of different diseases or illnesses that I could contract from whatever it may be, from eating this or doing that or doing this.
So my question now is, you do know, not necessarily you.
I don't.
Ah, clever. No, but we have an idea, a quite strong idea based on reading this book.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, obviously I don't want to jump into the question because I'm sure we'll have this at the very end of the book, but can you see yourself making any significant changes? It doesn't have to be significant, actually.
Yeah, but I think that was a good word that you put in there. It won't be significant changes.
Okay.
There will be changes, yes. Like, even in regards to simple as the dairy,
Yeah.
I definitely need to change that. But I found because it wasn't affecting me as what I thought it was in terms of giving me bloatiness, I kind of just kept it moving with the milk, so I just use that anyway. But I am definitely going to be changing to almond or one of those different kind of milks. They're not dairy, basically.
I can't even taste the difference. What about you? I know you're almond milk drinker.
I could say
unsweetened almond milk.
But I used to look at
taste
it and be
it
like,
as
"Right, that just sounds mad." Like, I used to be like, "It sounds mad. Why am I going to get almond milk?"
But even then, if you really look at, I haven't got nothing with me, obviously. But if you look at them, if you, don't be another. If you look, they all seem like. If you look at the ingredients, some of them look like they got chemicals.
Yo, do you get the unsweetened almond milk?
I get both. It depends how I
I get
feel.
the unsweetened one. No, because I watched the clip on even the way almond milk is so simple, like the way you make it.
Oh, it's like strained and all that. Yeah.
You put the almonds in a blender with like water and something else, and literally like just mix it like it.
So what colour is it?
It's like milk colour.
How did it become white though?
Because the inside of the almonds.
What about oats? Why is oats white as well?
I haven't drank oats. I don't know. Moving on.
Oh man.
It's almonds, water, and something else you put in there. I blend it.
Well, moving on to a slight different topic. Stool size matters. On page 74, it mentions that your stool, size of it matters. The bigger and more frequent your bowel movements are, the healthier you may be. Based on a study of 23 populations across a dozen countries, the incidence of colon cancer appears to skyrocket as the average daily stool weight drops below ½ pound. I was going to ask, have you or do you monitor your stools to determine your internal health?
I'm not looking inside the bowl after I finish. But one thing I can say, probably just based on you reading that, is I think there's probably been a significant change, I think, from when I was eating meats and chicken and stuff like that until probably your nows where I'm not really eating meats and stuff. Whereas, I don't want to be too descriptive, but I mean, I'm not taking as long as I was in the bathroom maybe now than I was obviously once upon a time.
Okay, but what about your weight and frequency?
On my frequency, once I've clapped that last piece of porridge, I'm straight in the bathroom. No, I'm joking, I'm not in the bathroom. I go frequently.
Okay. What about you, Mitch? Do you monitor your stools?
I don't monitor. How you describe it? I don't know what the weight or I'm not really looking for the iceberg that hit the Titanic. You know what I'm saying? But
Tingle scrap.
But the way my body works is every morning I get up and I need to go. It's one of the things that I need to do.
So it's
first.
regular.
It's every morning without fail, which is I've been told by someone, not someone that's medically trained, but someone who definitely is into what they eat and they definitely one of them kind of. They're not professionally a doctor, but they're almost a doctor. They know good foods and stuff. They've been told me that's good because your body's cleansing itself while you sleep, which is what it's supposed to, and it's getting rid of all the kind of the byproduce it's stored up for the morning for you to get rid of it. And every morning I need to go. So I like the way my body works. And it's good that my body works like that. I can't get no surprises at 11 a.m. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
I'm in a meeting or something and then someone's trying to make a quick getaway at the 5 minutes.
A robbery's taking place. Nobody move! It's a stick up! It's a stick up! Sorry, no more jokes. Thought I could help myself.
Just for your own benefit, you can measure your own oral anal transit time.
Jesus.
And when I say oral to anal, so what? So
Bro, you don't stall out here? What? Okay.
So between eating and going to the toilet, that's the transit time between oral and anal. By eating some beetroot and noting when your stools turn pink, if that takes less than 24 to 36 hours, you're probably meeting the healthy pound target, half-pound target, apparently.
Okay.
Moving on slightly.
Excuse me.
On page 76, it mentions a 6-year study of 30,000 Californians found that higher meat consumption was associated with higher risk of colon cancer. Unexpectedly, white meat appeared to be worse. Indeed, those who ate red meat at least once a week had about double the risk of developing colon cancer. That risk appeared to triple, however, for those who ate chicken or fish for once or more a week. Eating beans, an excellent source of phytates, were found to help mediate some of that risk, so your colon risk may be determined by your meat to vegetable ratio. There may be as much as an 8-fold difference in colorectal cancer risk between the two extremes of high veg to low meat diets and low veg to high meat diets. Furthermore, the National Cancer Institute polyp prevention trial found that those who increased their bean consumption by even less than 70 grams a day appeared to cut their odds of precancerous colorectal polyp recurrence by up to 65%. That make any sense to you?
Yeah, so it's colon cancer and it's how to cut it down.
Yes.
To eat
beans.
Eat more green beans.
Not just green beans, it's beans.
Or is it beans in general?
Yeah. Petri dish studies have shown that phytates inhibit the growth of virtually all human cancer cells tested so far, including cancers of the colon, breast, cervix, prostate, liver, pancreas and skin, while leaving normal cells alone. This is the mark of a good anti-cancer agent, the ability to discriminate between tumour cells and normal tissue. A big study that was over a decade followed 545,000 men and women aged between 50 and 71. And it was a study of meat and mortality. The scientists came to the same conclusion as the Harvard researchers. Meat consumption was associated with increased risk of dying from cancer, dying from heart disease, and dying prematurely in general. What does meat contain that may raise the risk of premature death? I hear you ask.
I think the main thing I've taken from the book is I say primarily obviously the cholesterol, and obviously with the cholesterol, I'll continue. Alright, so with the cholesterol, obviously it builds up obviously in your veins and your arteries, produces a plaque-like thickness, if that makes any sense. And then from there, also the blood struggles to get through, obviously the blood struggles to get through to your major organs, and then from there you have obviously a breakdown, obviously, in your system, and obviously depending on the type of stuff that you're actually eating, whether it's the meats and stuff like that, those, I'll call them chemical reactions and stuff, they can obviously then, dare I say, maybe attach themselves to tissue obviously within your body, and then from there develop cancerous and tumorous cells, and then from there begin to eat away at the body.
Yeah, that's one.
Thank you.
Now, what I was going to go on to say was one of the possibilities, not to say that this is the only one, is that heme iron, that form of iron found predominantly in blood and muscle. Because iron can generate cancer-causing free radicals by acting as a pro-oxidant, iron can be considered as a double-edged. Too little of it and you risk anemia. Too much of it and you may increase the risk of cancer and heart disease. So it goes on to mention getting enough iron on a plant-based diet. Women who eat plant-based diets do not appear to have higher rates of iron deficiency and anemia than women who eat a lot of meat, but all women of childbearing age need to ensure adequate iron intake. The healthiest sources of iron are whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, dry fruit, and green leafy veg. This is basically advice for women that are pregnant or looking to be pregnant. Avoid drinking tea with meals, as that can inhibit iron absorption. Consuming vitamin C rich foods can improve iron absorption. The amount of vitamin C in a single orange can enhance iron absorption as much as 3 to 6-fold. So trying to boost their iron absorption should reach for some fruit instead of a cup of tea. Moving on to pancreatic cancer. There's been a long-standing concern, this is on page 83, just for those that are following on. There's been a long-standing concern about the possibility that wart-causing chicken cancer viruses are being transmitted to the general population through the handling of fresh fish, or fresh or frozen chicken, my apologies. The researchers expressed surprise that it was the consumption of poultry, not red meat, that is more closely tied to cancer.
So are we touching on salmonella and all that type of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
When you're ready, if you want to touch on it, I mean, because it gets mentioned in more than one section.
It does, yeah.
So at any point that you want to jump on it, then by all means jump on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, some of the stuff that I was thinking of. I know I mentioned before the sausage thing, in regards to obviously the guy giving me kind of an explanation in terms of how sausages and stuff like that are made. Once I didn't know this, but this is another reason why I don't really see myself going back to eating chicken and stuff like that, where I might as well read it. Obviously, why Americans consumers placed at high risk. Some European countries have got salmonella contamination poultry down to as low as 2%. How? Because it's illegal to sell chicken tainted with salmonella. What a concept. They don't allow the sale of fowl with a pathogen that sickens more than 1 million Americans a year. In a meat industry trade publication, an Alabama poultry science professor explained why we don't have such a heavy-handed policy. The American consumer isn't going to pay to make it safer. The price will go up. The price will go up. Is that too expensive not to sell salmonella positive chicken?
Yeah,
I mean that's just bonkers. Like, nah, we're selling this foul food.
If you don't cook it or handle it properly, it's down to your problem.
No, we're giving it to you foul anyway. It's got
got
feces in it. Sorry, I didn't add that to it.
Yeah,
a lot of the food that's processed has feces in it. So the way they kind of put it through the processor, etc.
Yeah, that's right.
It's got food. That chicken that you've been tucking into at KFC, all right, before it's dipped into the fryer, it's got something nasty on it as well. So I'm just letting you know.
Treating pancreatic cancer with curry. Curcumin, the colourful component of spicy turmeric, appears.
This is the second one I'm not co-signing, yeah? And you tell me curry's
No, but listen.
I hear that, I know. They're trying to get to the point that turmeric's the ingredient in
the
there.
thing.
But don't tell me about curry treating cancer. Man, I'm going to eat curry every day and then what, you're telling me I'm not going to get heart disease from that?
And that's the thing with
heartburn.
this book.
Heartburn and them things.
You've got to take some of it, not to say literally a pinch of salt, because salt's
bad
not good for you. It's bad for your blood pressure. But if you're
a pinch of flaxseed,
I think you should be aware of it. And if you're in, you could be looking like it may be a possibility of getting one of these cancers, or someone that may be in that state, and they have the chance to change their diet, then this information is going to be useful. But I wouldn't suggest going to have a curry every single day. That's definitely not going to help. But it does appear to be able to reverse precancerous changes in colon cancer, and has been shown in lab studies to be effective against lung cancer cells. And again, I think with this book as well, it's not, you can't take everything literally, because nothing is set in stone. Everything's been said in a possible. It's possible this could happen. It's almost like I'm not saying it's factual, and they're all done by studies, and there's always new studies to almost prove it wrong. So again, it's just having that awareness of this information, so you can make more of a developed choice or developed way of going about having your diet, what you eat, what you don't eat. So 86 billions of dollars are spent on medications to alleviate heartburn and acid reflux by reducing the amount of stomach acid produced. But these drugs can contribute to nutrient deficiencies and increase the risk of pneumonia, in-state infections and bone fractures. Is there anything else anyone wanted to mention on digestive cancers?
No, I don't believe so.
Cool.
No.
So we're going into chapter 5, how not to die from infection. Most modern human infection diseases were unknown before domestication led to mass spillover of animal disease into human populations. For example, tuberculosis appears to have been originally acquired through the domestication of goats, but now infects nearly 1/3 of humanity. I was going to say, if this is the actual case, why do you think it's gone unchecked or questioned? Like, such a widespread disease.
You seen Planet of the Apes, right? It's unstoppable. Now, we discussed this before you came, French, and we were talking about the domestication of dogs and all these type of stuff. So, and obviously, I know the common cold's obviously putting this as well. Yeah. How did the common cold come about? Was it, I was going to say...
Was it pigs?
Yeah, sneezing. What's going on here?
Horse.
Yeah.
Horses.
I'm thinking, what's going on here? Why are you getting so damn close to the horse that it's sneezing on you?
What happened is they won't ride it like Frankie the Tory. That's what happened. Instead of just leaving them out there. You know what I'm saying?
It's all mad.
Some of the points that we've put up on our Instagram. So one of the things that we put about in terms of the immune system. Interestingly, the immune boost provided by cruciferous vegetables,
like broccoli and cauliflower.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna make a point.
Nah, I was, but I've just literally
forgotten.
Yeah, lost it now.
Oh gosh, broccoli is good for you, man. That's right. No, I do enjoy my broccoli. I'm not a big cauliflower fan, but broccoli I eat anyway. And so to be reading through this book, and it's telling me that benefits of broccoli preventing so many types of illness and diseases.
Yeah, no, my point was, because I found it, so not only does it protect us against the pathogens found in food, but also against pollutants in the environment. So, yeah, keep cracking on with it. Preventing common cold with probiotics. Babies delivered via caesarean section appear to be at increased risk for various allergic diseases, including allergic runny nose, asthma, and perhaps even food allergies. Normal delivery leads to colonization of the baby's gut with the mother's vaginal bacteria. C-section babies, on the other hand, are deprived of the natural exposure. But why do you not want to start busting up?
C-section baby. Is this something to do?
Immature,
is this going to be something to do with cesareans and natural births, and the fact that like babies that are born as a result of cesarean, is it called cesarean?
Yeah,
cesarean. Are more prone to catching like a common cold or something like that. It's something to do with that.
Yes, because as it says, the colonization of the baby's gut with the mother's vaginal bacteria, so it's almost helping them. Do you know what I mean? When they're coming straight from the womb. I wouldn't have put it like that, but yeah. Eggs and salmonella.
Salmonella,
sorry. Salmonella. That's that dessert, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Still don't like that stuff. The egg industry itself funded research on salmonella and the various ways to cook eggs. What did they find? Salmonella in eggs can survive scrambled, over easy, and sunny side cooking methods. Sunny side up was found to be the riskiest. The industry-funded researchers bluntly concluded the sunny side up method should be considered unsafe. How do we as general population differentiate the lead suggestions to actual factual statements about our food? Meaning, like, this has been done from the egg industry itself, so they're gonna give you facts and percentages that is going to be in a benefit to them. So it's like, how do we separate what's real and what's not?
I don't want to say I'm taking it based on. I'm just taking it based on some of the information I received. I know it's very, very difficult to digest what is factual and what is, dare I say, rumor, if that makes any sense. But if there is, I think, documentation in terms of not just one isolated incident, but several incidents of this producing that result in terms of salmonella poison and stuff like that, then I've got to take into consideration in relation to my health and what I want to do going forward.
Do you want to add anything? No. Using the presence of bugs, I think you just mentioned this as well. Using the presence of bugs like E. faecalis and E. faecium as markers of fecal contamination. 90% of chicken parts, 91% of mixed turkey, 88% of minced beef, and 80% of pork chops are tainted on the retail level nationally. So what you're talking about?
Yeah, no, it's nasty
shit on there. But do you think there could be fecal matter traces amongst plant-based food?
Yeah, there would be, because if it's all natural plant-based, you got foxes. Boy, over here we got big one foxes, boy. I don't mean Franny Jeffers, boy. Foxes and then cats and then nasty cells. Sorry if technical cat lovers out there, but they're out there. They're out there shitting up and weeing and urinating at the place. Everything, dogs, everything. You know what I'm saying? So we've got our own problems.
Yeah, no, that was my point.
Yeah, you just have to clean up your vegetables, people, before when you buy them, you wash them off.
Moving on to chapter 6. Anyone want to go into anything else on that?
No, not really.
So moving on to how not to die from diabetes. The disease called diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus comes from two words. Diabetes, Greek for to pass through or siphon. Mellitus, Latin for honey sweet. Diabetes mellitus is characterized chronically elevated levels of sugar in your blood. This because either your pancreas gland isn't making enough insulin, the hormone that keeps your blood sugar in check, or because your body becomes resistant to insulin's effects. The insulin deficiency disease is called type 1 diabetes, and insulin resistance disease is called type 2 diabetes. Did you know that diabetic urine can evidently taste as sweet as honey, hence the name?
That's disgusting already.
Well, I won't be trying. I do know. I'll take your word for it.
I'm not out thinking, what does that taste like?
It goes on to say, the prevention and treatment and reversal of type 2 diabetes therefore depends on diet and lifestyle.
Okay.
This mechanism by which fat interferes with insulin function has been demonstrated by either infusing fat into people's bloodstreams and watching insulin resistance shoot up, or by removing fat from people's blood and seeing insulin resistance drop. We can now even visualize the amount of fat in the muscles using MRI technology. With the rapid change of technology, do you think the way we consume food will change?
I think it is changing.
Yeah,
haven't they found a way to? Hasn't a way been found to manufacture? I don't know what type of food it is. Like, it's not real meat, as in, like, haven't they? I'm sure they have in the lab.
What, corn?
Not corn. I'm sure it's like a beef burger or something in a lab.
I'm not involved anyway. Anything via technology, I'm not really involved in.
Not from animal. Like, it's been constructed. I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, no, it does sound feasible, but not. I can't say I've seen it in Tesco.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it does. No, what you're saying, I wouldn't be surprised, I guess. But I'm more thinking about, like, You know them films back in the day that you see and they're like a pill and that's their whole meal.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's where we could be heading. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny you say that because I mean I know obviously in this book it's touched on stuff such as pills. They're not necessarily the cause of your any like health problems that you actually have, and dare I say maybe the effect obviously to improving obviously your health is to actually eat vegetables instead of going out there and popping pills and stuff like that. So like I know I've said I can't really see myself, but I'm not really out here popping pills for meals and stuff like that. That's not going to happen anytime soon.
I can't remember, I'm sure is it the Willy Wonka chocolate factory where they do it?
I don't know, but I've seen it somewhere.
Red pill and a blue.
No, you're talking about Matrix.
10 years later.
I saw the video thing that he gives her like a chewing gum or something. It's blueberry pie. I can taste it now. And custard or something like that.
Yeah. So, but that's that kind of wave.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. Even especially in like the NHS or something like that. Just to cut, they're like
cut costs. Yeah.
Cut costs.
It's hard to point. People are buying anything, boy. You just package it up in some nice blue package and some nice handwriting, and people buying it.